there was a trending headline. Twitter has trending headlines on the sidebar. It said, quote, Bill Gates said healthcare and vaccines could reduce unsustainable population growth in a 2010 TED Talk, fact checkers say. So I looked at that, I said, wait a second. You're not saying this is a crazy kooky conspiracy that Bill Gates said that vaccines could reduce the population, and population growth rather. You're saying that he actually did say this according to fact checkers. So then I looked it up, and Reuters and the AP, and they're all trying to cover for Bill Gates a little bit, saying it was taken out of context or whatever. But then they've got the quote, and actually we've got the video clip from the TED Talk, and Bill Gates says exactly that.
Somehow we have to make changes that will bring that down to zero. This equation has four factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero, and that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near.
As you look at Bill Gates and his stance, I mean, you have those. As far as my understanding, Bill Gates, he didn't come up from a billionaire family, so he's new to this in that sense. In the 90s, but he's taken on a role, it seems to be, for the mouthpiece of those in say the order of the hidden hand. He's speaking for them. When he says healthcare, he's talking abortion. Because as you increase the effectiveness of vaccines, it should increase the health of those receiving it, not reduce population. So he knows what he's saying, but he's political in his delivery. And they know that they need to somehow stop the growth of those in India, in Africa, and in Asia, outside of the Western Hemisphere, because they are stopping their own growth, and soon the world will be overpopulated by these other peoples that they don't fully control yet. So it's something to see as this calculation goes on.
Near to zero. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps...
Abortion. What's up with the vaccines? How can you lower population with the vaccine?
Perhaps 10 or 15%.
Hold up. What? So you've got all these different factors, the people and the services they're using, and then this and that. So you got to bring one of these numbers down to zero. You want to bring population? That doesn't sound good. Okay, and how are we going to reduce the population? Well, if we do a really good job on healthcare, by healthcare I think he means abortion. It's pretty clear, or contraception or something. At the very least, contraception. And if we do a really, really good job on reproductive services, that's just another dishonest euphemism to mean abortion. Okay, reproductive's okay if you bring that. And if we do a really good job on vaccines, then we can bring that number down. Wait, what? I thought vaccines are supposed to improve health. I thought vaccines were supposed to allow more people to live longer. So you're saying you do a good job on vaccines and that's going to bring the human population down, or at least the growth of the human population down? Well, huh? I'm not venturing.
And again, there are a lot of conspiracy theories on the web. One of them is the person that will live forever has already been born. and I don't believe in it, but sometimes from the mouth of babes speaks wisdom. All right. As a Christian, I believe in the millennium, 1,000 years of Christ's reign. Now, this doesn't pertain to this video, but it brings in the opposite. Those who don't believe in God or don't believe in God's plan, they too want to live forever, but they're going to do it by satanic means. In other words, humanism, human ways. Because that was the test, that was the tease, that was the temptation for Eve. You will be like God, knowing all. And God had to separate us, as you remember, from the Garden of Eden and from the tree of life, so that we wouldn't live eternally in this God-forsaken body. So my point here is this: they seek eternal life, but through other means that God is going to break up their means. But they come up with the drugs, they come up with the systems that will expand your life, but without your moral responsibilities. That's what the whole thing about humanism is. But here, reducing population to the point that they can control it, keep it under control, and they use greenhouse gases, they use CO2, just like the flawed population bomb that never happened. Poverty has gone down because of capitalism. Even the Chinese picked up capitalism. Now they have a socialist government, but they have a capitalist system. And a lot of Americans don't understand the difference. But let's go ahead.
A guess as to what he meant here. I don't know. Maybe he just misspoke. Maybe he didn't misspeak. The one thing we do know about Bill Gates, though, is that he has been obsessed with reducing the number of people who are born for decades now. He's talking about it here, but he's given many, many interviews on this topic. It's been a weird hobby horse of the anti-human left for decades, well over a century now. Going back to the population bomb, we were told in the 70s that the human population was going to increase. It was going to lead to widespread famine. We had to encourage people to have abortions and to stop having children and to use contraception. And we might even need to coerce people to do that. Paul Ehrlich, a scientist at Stanford, said that. And then what happened? Between the time that book was published and today, the world population doubled. And what happened then? Malnutrition dropped. It's at an all-time low. People are fatter and better fed than ever before. The predictions were just totally wrong. But this is a weird obsession with just reducing the number of people who exist. This is why we don't trust these people. Bill Gates is considered one of the, or at least by the ruling class, probably not by most people, but by the ruling class, he's considered one of the great philanthropists of our age, one of the great geniuses, because he sold a lot of computers.
And to piggyback on his point, this is why the First Amendment is so important. This is why the Second Amendment is so important. The ruling party, what they think, they believe, is from God. Just like the kings of old. They feel they have a mandate from God, or they are God, because they have the knowledge. But just like I found I've read many theories. The theories are sound, but the application is far from the theory, as far as I'm concerned. So, as he brings out his point, remember, the ruling class, whether it Western, Eastern, have their thought, and they're going to rule. But what they don't like is our ability to have the First Amendment to say, you're wrong. Emperor, you have no clothes. They hate that. Do as I do, say what I say, or I will punish you.
Computers in the 90s, you see. And so that's why he should opine about how the world should be run. Bill Gates, this great guy. The reason that we don't trust him, he became an expert somehow on vaccines. Remember during COVID, he was like the vaccine expert. Why? I have the same epidemiology degree that Bill Gates does. Why was he the expert? Why don't, I'll reverse the question. Why don't people trust Bill Gates? It's not just because he doesn't have a degree. It's not just because he's ignorant on this topic. It's because he and his ilk have a vision of the world that is stupid and evil.
I wouldn't use the word stupid. It's cunning. Now, he's not unintelligent. So, he's not stupid. He's not unintelligent. But there, you have to use, and that's why I love the Bible. You use phrases like deceive deceivers. Okay, he might be deceived by whatever powers that be into believing what he believes. Now he's on a warpath to deceive others. So he takes it to a whole nother level. He is the mouthpiece of, say, the order of the unseen hand. The unseen hand. We'll call them that. You know, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. But they're the ones, the power that be the ruling class. Some, like George Bush, the Bush family, the Fords, the Clintons. They're the front man. That's what you see. They're the one that pick and put out there for a reason. And the ones in the back sit back because they know they can't be accepted by the majority. Some want it to be, but they never could be. Some ran for vice president or president, different things like that, and they never were. But they are the old money, that sort of thing. But he's not stupid. He might be deceived, but he's definitely a deceiver, when we all can be, by carrying the water for those who truly are deceivers and truly are lusting for more power or whatever they lust for.
Now, I'm not calling him evil. He might just be kind of stupid. Smart computer salesman, not the smartest philosopher, certainly not a great theologian, doesn't understand all that much about the human person. Their vision of the world that they're putting out here is a very stupid one, first of all, because they keep making these end-of-the-world apocalyptic predictions that don't come true.
Well, even though they don't come true, these predictions, I think it has the effect that they want. Okay, you got Scientology, you got Mormonism, you got Jehovah's Witness, you got Branhamism. It still controls a group, and you still bringing in some new fish all the time. So it works. Thank God we can see through it. But there's many that don't. There many are adherents to it. And if Jesus Christ came himself, they would not let it go. So they're deceived, and they're deceivers, and they're hanging on. And some are in great power. That is why, thank God, that we don't have emperors and rulers in that sort of sense. We can have a disruptor like Trump come in every 100, 200 years, whatever it is, and disrupt something to the point where it's like, the swamp is getting upset. We got to kill him, poison him, whatever we got to do. Not another 4 year term, because it's going to disrupt to the point of chaos. Because they have a plan. They have put a plan in place. And the United States of Europe and Asia and the United States of, the North American group, Canada, United States, and Mexico joining, they still got these plans out there. They still got the coins. They still got this one world order coming about. And to do it, they need mouthpieces like a Bill Gates.
But it's also an evil one. Just as a rule of thumb, if your vision of the future of the world hinges upon stopping people from being born, either by killing babies through abortion or by pushing contraception everywhere so that there are just fewer people, you might be one of the baddies, okay? You might be one of the not the good guys, one of the bad guys. And specifically, Bill Gates is focused on reducing population in Africa and India, which adds a kind of racial component to this. Yes, there are enough of us over here.
They don't control enough of the population in Asia, Africa. So they control the ruling class. And I gotta say, I have to try to get this video where it's a brother talking about a quote from Putin and how the Africans leaders, they only die in Africa. They go to Rome or Mecca for their religion, and they go to France, Canada, or America for their education or health care, but they come and they die in Africa. So it's hard to put all the puzzles together, but hopefully as we go through some of this, my podcasts and my reaction videos are going to be widespread. Some of you might like it, some of you might not like it, but to get the big picture, you have to take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and see it as a whole, bringing the puzzle together, collecting the dots. Whether it's atheism, abiogenesis, evolution, you got to bring it all together to get to this mindset that Bill Gates and others, that we got to control the population.
Here, but what we need to do is reduce the number of those brown people. We've got too many brown people. They're breathing too much. They've got too much carbon dioxide. So we've got to stop that. If you are crafting a vision of the world that sacrifices human beings to nature gods, you might be one of the baddies. You might be doing exactly the same thing that ancient pagans did to Moloch and Baal and all the other sorts of demons, okay? And you're not aware of it because you use all of these kind of really sciencey, newfangled, jargony terms. But you're doing exactly the same thing. I'm so glad you enjoyed that clip. That makes me feel...
All right, thanks for watching. This is my second reaction video. Please like and subscribe. And please leave a comment. I hope this was better than the first one. I didn't like the sound. It wasn't that good. I'm going to have to work on the sound of my voice on the video. So take care.